Hey there, folks. Welcome to the final episode of the DC Crisis on Infinite Films, where we talked about all of the best and the worst of DC films. Well, a good bit of both. You might be asking, well, where's my Dark Knight? Or, you never even talked about the original Superman films. And you're right, but we can't spend a whole 6 months on one theme. Tried it, had fun, but it didn't get the views to support it. I mean, just check out the Ghibli movies. But hey, don't fret, Batman is not off the table. If you want to see us cover other DC characters, Marvel characters, the ones from Image Comics, or even video game adaptations, then I have one favor to ask of you. Go to patreon.com/evacstation. For less than the cost of paying Shazam for saving your liquor store, you can go support our show. And you can pay us to do more podcasts like these, but for full time instead of the whole, whenever we have time model. It'll be the best way for you to get your Batman-centric episodes, or, something else entirely you're asking for. We love these movies, and we love talking about them, and we want to keep doing this as long as we can. Because we love entertaining you, and these are just fun conversations to have. Again, that's patreon.com/evacstation. That's EVACSTATION. And I think you're going to like this one. The imagination of Spielberg, the suspense of Hitchcock, the nostalgia of Abrams, the magic of Zemeckis, the brutality of Aronofsky, and the wonder of Miyazaki. We are the After Credits cast, and this is Shazam! Spoiler warning, this is a fun movie. I am Aaron J. Waseska, and with me today I've got Ryan Metters. Ryan, it's been a hot minute since I've heard from you.
It has been a hot minute, sir. I am glad to be back, and this is a fun one to come back to.
I'm not gonna lie, Ryan. We did all these DC movies, and I thought to myself, man, it's gonna be hard to top Wonder Woman or Aquaman. They're both pretty solid bits of work there. This is a contender. I did not expect that going into this.
Oh, I feel like this is going to be a fun conversation then.
Oh, boy. Right. Oh, boy. Okay. Before we get too deep into this, let me remind everybody, you can go to patreon.com to support us, patreon.com/evacstation. There's also finding us on YouTube, Peepa, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Podcast Addict. And if you want to reach out to us as well, there's also the various social media platforms, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and of course you can email us directly. Tell us your favorite DC movies, least favorite DC movies, or anything in general. How the weather is where you're at. Ryan, where can they email us at?
They can email us at Shazam, is that really your fucking name, at gmail.com. I'm sorry. Excuse me. They can email us at evacstation@gmail.com.
Say it! Say my name!
Say it! What the fuck?
Well, as always, Ryan, we have a quick segment we always like to hit up, which is the What You Watchin' segment, where we talk about what we've been watching the past week, or for us, I guess, last 2 weeks, since we took a little mini vacation between recording sessions.
Indeed. Partially because of that break and birthdays that ensued, the birthday present that I got, the big one, is my What You Watchin'. I have been watching arterial blood spew from the throats of my enemies as I fucking stealth assassinated them all throughout the latest fucking masterpiece from software, and that is Sekiro.
Okay.
Shadows die twice.
Okay, I've been sitting on the wings for this one. Tell me, is it worth the money?
It is 100% worth the money. No lie. This is... Okay. this is a game where it's fucking hard. Like, it's from software. Of course it's fucking hard. But it actually feels like once you get good at it, it feels like you're fucking good. Like the system and story and setting all in of itself is really fucking immersive. The combat is gorgeous. It's a lot of it's both simplified and more complex at the same time, but it feels more intuitive. It's a lot of attack and defense, but you kind of interchange. Like, it feels like a real crossing of blades. Like, you swing, and then you have to look for tells when they're swinging at you so that you can block, and if you block, time it just perfectly, you can get some deflect, and enemies' posture comes into play, and if you fuck up their posture high enough, then you can just death blow them. It's goofy. It's so much fun. It's so hard, but it really captures the feeling of being a ninja in feudal Japan with spooky demons and shit. It's really good.
I was like, I'm looking to get in that soon. It is on my back burner right now, though, because one, it's $60. I'm a cheapskate. But two, more important.
You're buying a house. You're not a fucking cheapskate.
Okay, well, I'm saving up for a house. That's a good enough answer there. But no, the other reason is because I recently picked up Bloodborne. I won't talk about it now, but I will talk about it soon because yeah.
Hit me up. Oh God, it's so good.
Took me a hot minute to get back into it, but I picked it back up, and I will get more to that once I have more to talk about. But let's just say I finally got over the hurdle I was at last time, and now I'm running with it. So
I will tell you, Bloodborne is the first From Software game that I actually finished. Like, I've played and beaten all of the bosses in that game, and it's good.
Are you including DLC on that too, or are you just talking base game?
No, I've beaten the DLC.
Okay.
It's like spooky good. One of my best friends, like, when we get together, we drink, we get high, and we play Bloodborne, and we pass off to each other when we die. It's just bonkers. It's just so much fun. I'm so glad you're playing it. I'm so glad. All right, you'll have to tell me more about it later.
Yep, indeed. For my What You Watching, though, I wanted to keep it topical. So, Ryan, after I think you recommended this once before, I took the plunge into it, actually before we took our little break, but we really got hardcore into it once the break started. We are now on Season 3 of Supergirl.
Okay. Remind me what's happening. Spoiler alert. Remind me what's happening story-wise so I can know exactly where you are.
So, spoilers for anyone who has not caught up with the third or current season. I'm behind, so I feel like I'm safe spoiling people, honestly. So Supergirl, Season 3, that is the one with the world-ending world killers, Rain, the Skull, Kryptonians.
Oh, shit. I think you're where I left off, because, like, I think I left off in the middle of this. I think I left off, like, right at the season break of Season 3, when she has her first, like, real fight with Rain.
And that's fair, because this season is a little bit dark and bleak. Not bad, but, like, it kind of reminds me of how Season 3 of Flash went, where I just kind of, at the end of it, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, I love the Flash, but this season just tasted really sour, and I didn't like it.
I'm not against, like, dark seasons. Like, I tend to eat that shit up. And where it left off in that season break, I actually really, really liked it. I haven't been watching as much TV as I used to, and I've completely fallen behind on all of my CW shows, so that's just where I happen to leave off.
That's fair. We actually even watched the crossover episode, the Crisis on World X episodes.
Oh, where they're all Nazis? Yeah, that was pretty good.
That was pretty fun, and I think I got her excited now to actually watch The Flash, because we've now seen 3 crossovers that include his character, and she's like, okay, I kind of want to see what's going on with this.
He's really good. Yo, The Flash is like legit the best CW show they've got. So
you don't have to
she's gonna watch any of them,
you don't have to preach to me, man. I'm all on board with that shit.
If she's gonna watch any of them, she should pick up The Flash. That shit's real. I'm mad that I haven't seen the latest season, because him, like that storyline is really, really good. I just haven't had the time.
See, now I'm purposely not watching the newest one because I'm like, well, I'm gonna watch it soon anyway when we rewatch everything for her, so I'm just gonna wait till then. So
that's fair. That's very fair. Hey, watching things with your girlfriend, it's a thing that I'm getting used to, right?
Indeed. But yeah, no, it's been really fun. It's one of the few shows where I've liked every single character so far, like, or at least of the main cast. Like, in most shows, I feel like there's a character on there somewhere that I just can't get behind or like annoys me. But I'm actually having fun with every character so far. Like, it's just really refreshing that everyone has something about them that is entertaining, fun, or likable. So
that's really cool, man. Okay. So we actually have to get to the movie, but later on, you and I are going to talk more about Supergirl because that's a well done show. It's just a well done show.
Absolutely. And Ryan's right. We do have a movie to get to. As a hopeful end to our Crisis of Infinite films, we come to Shazam. Released in 2019 and directed by David F. Sandberg and written by both Henry Gayden and Darren Lemke. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's Lemke.
Lemke? Okay. Being so new, I only have the opening numbers of... I gotta open a tab here. Worldwide is 162,181,000. For domestic, that's 59,881,000. It's not doing super hot first weekend, but I do feel like a lot of that might be the just fatigue of DC films. I think Aquaman started off with a interesting opening weekend, but blew up really quick right afterwards. So I think we might see some pops in the following weeks, because there's been a lot of positive buzz, a lot of people saying good things about it, so I would not be surprised.
What? It's weird because I honestly, hand to God, I honestly forgot that it came out this weekend. and Allegra was like, hey, have you seen Shazam yet? And I was like, oh, fuck, I need to watch that, today. But I feel like, at least just for me, my personal experience, I feel like advertisement for the movie kind of dropped off a little bit. I feel like they might have been waiting for opening weekend and for reviews to come in to really hit people up and hey, you should come see it now that everybody's saying it's really good. And
but what's weird about that though is that Fandango had an event where they showed the movie a week or two early for VIP members, and there was positive buzz all from that. I'm surprised they didn't be like, oh shit, we need to fucking crank this marketing campaign up to high gear now.
Yeah, me too.
It's a little weird. But no, it's a sleeper hit, guys. Definitely check it out if you get a chance, and we'll get to that in more details here in a minute. The cast includes... I can never get this fucking name right. Digimon Honsu?
I'm pretty sure the D is silent.
So, Jimon Honsu.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like Django. Or Django.
That is the reference that I was making.
Thank you. Mark Strong. No longer sporting the green, paint. Jack Dillon.
You mean the pink skin?
Yes, the pink skin, green suit. Yeah. Jack Dillon Grazer, Adam Brody, Grace Fulton, Michelle Borth, Ian Chen, Ross Butler, Faith Herman, Megan Good, Yvonne Armand,
Armand, I think.
Armand. Okay. DJ Catrona, and we have Asher Angel. And the original Captain Marvel, Zachary Levi. No words at this current time, so I'm going to jump over to Ryan at the Fun Facts Science Corner.
Well, fun fact, first of all, half of that cast I did not fucking expect to see in this movie.
No one did.
We'll get to that.
We'll
get to that. We'll get to that later. Regarding the fun facts about this movie, originally this was going to be one film with both Shazam and Black Adam meeting and clashing, but the producers, namely the person who will be playing Black Adam, Dwayne the fucking Rock Johnson, decided to split this film into two origin films for both characters, which was very, very smart, if I do say so myself.
That might have made this movie a little too heavy to have him in here.
It would have it would have made this movie too heavy, and it was already a little heavy, and I'll get to that later. But yeah, the decision was made to split the two origin stories, so we'll be on the lookout for Black Adam's movie later on, which will be really cool. But if you caught it, they did make a very small reference to Black Adam's story, which I heavily appreciated that they did it so lightly. It wasn't a, hey, look, we've got a sequel coming. It was a, oh, and this guy did something. But never mind. Here's
not important. Not important right now.
That is how you do a drop for a trailer for a second movie. But I digress.
Take notes, Batman versus Superman.
Hey, you know what? I feel like they're learning from their mistakes.
Oh, they are. They are.
I feel like they got the hints, and they're like, hey, look, we can actually do it right. Fun fact number 2, Henry Cavill was in talks to reprise his role as Superman for a cameo at the end, which would have been great, but was unable to do so due to scheduling conflicts with Mission Impossible Fallout. I don't blame him. That was a bomb-ass movie.
That movie, though, seems to be the Achilles heel for the DCEU right now.
Well, I mean, when you look at how Man of Steel went, and you look at how Dawn of Justice went, I can't blame him for taking the option to go with the known franchise that knows what the fuck it's doing, and, like, he can actually have a good role in it.
Oh, no. I'm not blaming him or anything, but it's just kind of funny how that movie is now twice kind of impacted his ability to do something with this.
It's like, hey, Henry Cavill took the sure bet because you guys couldn't get your acts together. But again, I digress. Last but not least, in some versions of the comic, Billy Batson resides in Fawcett City, named for Fawcett Comics, the company that originally created the Captain Marvel character in 1939. In those Fawcett comics, Billy resides in New York City. In the New 52 films and in this film, he lives in Philadelphia, possibly to further separate his time from when he was known as Captain Marvel and all that fucking bramble patch of nonsense with branding and lawsuits and all that good stuff.
Yep, and if you want to see more information on that, definitely check out various YouTubers and whatnot. I think we mentioned it. We'll mention it. In our Captain Marvel episode. Movie Bob does a pretty good breakdown of the whole thing. I don't have links at the moment, but definitely check them out. Look it up. Movie Bob, Captain Marvel. I'm sure there's plenty of videos you can find for that.
Indeed.
With that, Ryan, let's get some initial thoughts out of the way. I can pop on this real quick since you just had your bit. To me, I expected this to be pretty fun, because the trailers looked really good, and I think I came out of it with my expectations either met or surpassed in some ways. Not overly surpassed by any means, but definitely I got some more surprises out of it than I expected to get. So I had a good time with this.
Okay. My initial thoughts, I honestly many initial thoughts, again, because I forgot that it came out this weekend. But I enjoyed the film. I think it was very fun. I think there were some tonal, I won't say inconsistencies, but there were some changes in tone that threw me a little bit.
And, you aren't wrong. You aren't wrong.
I feel like the separate parts of the movie were done very well, but there were times in transition where it's just like, man, wait, what? What the hell? And then he goes and fights for his family. Okay, god damn, sure, why not?
So I have something I'll say about that, but I have a synopsis I'm going to get to first real quick.
Please do.
Here we go. We start with Thad, a young Harry Potter wannabe who is given a glimpse into a world of possibility, only for it to be snapped shut in his face because he ain't special. Kid returns to his shit life only to spend years and countless millions to find a wizard who would tested him and take the power by force. And to his credit, he actually does. Very impressive. And looks way better than when he had that Green Lantern ring on, too, I might say.
Honestly, I think the glowy eye looks better on him than the pink skin. I think it's a better look.
It's not a high bar to surpass, let's be honest. It is kind of funny that we started this whole series with Green Lantern and we're ending it with him in this and Shazam. It's actually pretty fun.
Mark Strong, he refuses to die.
I love it.
God damn.
He also takes the incarnations of the 7 deadly sins, a la Full Metal Alchemist. Left with little time and dwindling power, the wizard calls upon the aid of the young Billy Batson. Let's find out who that is. Billy, an orphan, has been looking for his mom, who he lost at a carnival circus thing one day. Been there, buddy. Still looking for mine, too. He is taken in by a foster home that is a little bit more of a Burger King kids club, if you ask me. He and Freddy Fastcrutch talk superheroes, challenge bullies, and go to school before Billy is called in by the wizard we mentioned a minute ago to take on the powers of Shazam, which is an acronym, which if you watch the movie, you'll get all the details. He returns home to Freddy, and they bungle their way through superhero antics, kids pretending to be adults, and learning in silly ways how to use these powers. And honestly, it's a lot of fun to watch. More so than I could actually describe it here, so go check it out. And a Ghostbuster Gremlin-style kind of horror, Thad, we're going to call Doc Savannah, goes to his father's company and straight up murders a whole room of executives with his demons. And a scene that gave me kind of Berserk-esque vibes. His next stop was Trump Tower, but the demons warned him that the wizard found a champion who could stop him if left unchecked. Savannah asks this to be taken to him. During the fallout of one of their arguments, Shazam shows off some people and gives the bus a little bit too much charge. He saves the people from the accident he causes, and Savannah finds him. Fighting happens, and Savannah discovers Shazam's connection to Freddy. When Billy depowers and returns home, he is escorted by his foster parents, and the siblings give him the whereabouts of his mother, who he'd been looking for, because they kind of, got nosy in his private life. He finds her, and only to discover that she abandoned him kind of on purpose, and doesn't really want to go back to being a mom. Man. I got some words for that. That's a powerful moment there for me.
Boy, I was... Okay, keep going.
He returns to his foster home, he now calls his real family, because Savannah has taken him hostage. Shazam tries to relate to Savannah, but he isn't seen eye to eye.
I see what you did!
The siblings help him escape, and they fight in a carnival circus thing. I don't think it's the same one. Shazam then realizes that he can't do this alone, and he grants his powers to all of his siblings, basically making them the Shazam-style Power Rangers.
Lord have mercy.
More fighting happens, and they save the day. Superman shows up in a gag from the neck down because he still isn't over his mustache problem. Savannah is visited by a worm who threatens us with a sequel hook, and we get another fish joke at the expense of Aquaman. Guys, okay, listen. It's funny. We got our laughs out, but can we get over this now? Aquaman's cool now, right? Are we still making these jokes?
Hey, like to be fair, the movie does actually play into that. He's like, what the fuck can fish do? And it's like, command an army of billions and fucking take over all life in the ocean? Kids actually wearing an Aquaman shirt? I'm just like, yeah, kid, you're right. You're absolutely right.
No, Freddy is pretty on point there. Like, he's not the best character throughout the movie, but he's on point at that moment right there. Hands down.
Man.
So, Ryan, now that we've bungled our way through that whole mess, how did you think of the movie? What were your thoughts? Let's get into this. Let's dive deep.
All right, so deep dive. I think it's real. I think the major appeal of this movie is kids that are granted superpowers, and in and of itself is a fun concept. And when taken to the extreme, like it does in the movies, where all of his foster brothers and sisters get to be fucking Shazam mode, and they're super strong, but they're also kids. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And to be fair, and to be honest, I'm looking at the fight, and I'm like, dude, seriously, how the fuck is he gonna fight 6 demons and Savannah? He doesn't really even know how to use his powers yet, and they can phase at will. This is broke as shit. And I didn't see it until it was happening. I'm just like, God damn, okay, fine. They all get to be damn near as strong as Superman. That's fine. All these kids can just be boss. That's cool.
Well, what's funny is I was watching this with my buddies, and my one buddy Robert. I had too many people named Rob. Anyway. Rob was saying something along the lines of how when the movie first introduced his brothers and sisters, we're both like, okay, so these are going to be the Marvel family sometime, but that's a sequel thing, right? They're not gonna do this now. And when they finally did at the end of the movie, we were both like, oh, they're gonna actually go full gun on this one. Shit, okay, we're down for this. Let's do it.
Now, is this a thing that actually happens in the comics? Because this took me entirely by surprise.
Yes. So in the
Damn.
original iterations of the comics, he had some sidekick characters like Uncle Marvel, Mary Marvel, who's still a thing. Various other characters like Hillbilly Marvel. It gets really silly. A lot of that gets rebooted, obviously, for the New 52, and so the characters you see on screen are the New 52 versions.
That okay, because I was worried. Like the only thing that was keeping me from going full ham on these kids that are rocking stupid like superpowers is that, guys, Shazam is damn near on par with Superman, and we just gave like 5 other people the same powers.
Well,
like,
so here's the thing about Shazam that I have always loved, though, and I don't read the comics that I really should, but the concept I loved about Shazam from the get-go is he is the ultimate power fantasy, hands down. Who reads comic books? Large percentage of that audience is going to be kids, or the people who grew up with comic books. But back when this character came out, that was kids, hands down. And this character not only being as powerful as Superman, but just like being able to be like, hey kids, do you want to be Superman too? Here's a kid who can do it. It's no wonder he outsold Superman back in the day, and it's no wonder he's so much fun to see now. And it's just like, okay, this is a movie that's fucking aimed right in the square of the face of the kids, but it's also something that everyone can enjoy. It does it really well.
You're right. It definitely is aimed towards children, but it's not exclusively for children. Everybody else who watched it was having a grand old time, myself included. The only thing that threw me, and I won't even say that it threw me. I won't say that it threw me, but it felt a little incongruent to the rest of the story, was the foster parent storyline and the real life I'm trying to find my parents storyline. That's a heavy ass storyline, and there are moments where you get like these really heavy ass storylines, and then he says Shazam, and he actually gets to be a kid, only in an adult's body. Like, I felt Zachary Levi got to be more of a teenager than Asher Angel did. Asher Angel had to carry like the heavy shit, where he has to go confront his mom, who he finds out fucking abandoned him, like, on purpose.
Isn't it kind of interesting though how Zachary Levi, the adult of the pair, gets to be the more childlike, innocent, fun character, and then Asher has to actually like grow up and be an adult? It's almost like there's a lesson there somewhere.
I felt bad. Like, I felt bad because the only like real moment that you get to see child Billy be a child is like the very first scene where he pranks these cops to try and even then it's done in service of his greater quest. But like you see Billy Batson as a child, and every time you see him, he's either fully in like the loneliness that has been his life for the past like fucking 10 years, or like hyper resistant to anybody who's trying to actually care for him, or like devoting his life to like finding this person who ultimately did not want to be in his life. Like, these are heavy ass storylines that this child has to handle. And I felt really, really bad that the only time he could actually be a child was when other people didn't see him as one.
Well, and I think, so it comes to a question I asked later on in this, and I think we can probably bring it up now because it kind of fits. Because I think this ties into the film's discussion of heroes and hero worship. Because I think it's also, like, ties into the like relationship that Freddy has with Shazam / Billy a little bit. Because, so hear me out. So Billy idolizes his mom and thinks like the world of her, even though she just disappeared. Like, he wants to make this relationship happen. He thinks this will solve all of his problems. Similarly, Freddy thinks that Billy and his newfound Shazam powers will be like this new thing that will just escalate them to new levels of popularity, fun times, good times, all that stuff. Get him out of this, foster world and into something more concrete and real. But I think that we find out in both situations that that's not what the idolized character really wants to do. Billy just wants to have fun and, at the end of the day, save people when he realizes that that's what his powers should be for. And his mom wants to well, we don't really get to see what his mom wants to do, but it sounds like being a mother and having this family has never been on her mind at all. And it kind of is one of those things where it's maybe a little lesson to kids that are going to be watching this, saying, hey, having heroes is great, but sometimes when you meet them, it's not going to always be what you want it to be. Be the hero you want to be in yourself, man.
I can see that. I can see where you're coming from. I don't wholeheartedly agree with it. I feel like Billy's entire life has been wrapped up in the search for his mom. And when he gets the powers of Shazam and he becomes pretty much an adult with superpowers, it's not kind of like a way to fast forward that, but it really functions as the only escape that he's had from his whole life of trying to find this person who seemingly and actually didn't want to be found. So when he finds the powers, of course he's having a fucking blast with them and just fucking around and taking selfies and shit, because it's the first time that he doesn't really have to deal with the heavy real life bullshit. He can just be a guy with superpowers that everybody loves to be around. And so, yeah, the Shazam character becomes an escape for him. And then, then in the course of the movie, he realizes that with these powers must come great responsibility. Thank you, Uncle Ben.
Those words are always the best.
Yeah, it's so succinct. It's like the thesis statement for every fucking superhero. With great power comes great responsibility. That's it. That's quintessentially what a hero is. Mm-hmm. But I digress. So he learns that lesson when the people who actually want to be with him are in danger, and he has to get his shit together and really be a part of a family, which is really, really cool. But the two stories feel very separate. They feel separate up until and it never felt more separate than when he actually goes and talks to his mom, finds out that he was just straight fucking abandoned, and then he says, well, I guess I gotta go save this family now. And I'm like, what the fuck? You just went through something that requires years of therapy. Seriously, that one moment has years of therapy written all the fuck over it. And he's just like, well, I have places to be. All right, let me go fight this villain.
Well, if it's anything like me, if it's anything like me, and it's just me spitballing here, whenever I get bad news, whether it be of someone died or a breakup or whatever, my reaction isn't to react right away. It's to think about it, process it, and take time to actually come to grips with what the hell that actually is. So maybe that's kind of what his process is he's taking a moment to be like, okay, I need to step away from this situation right now. I'm going to go distract myself with something, and I'll deal with this later.
And let me be clear. I don't think they did a bad job in portraying it in the movie. I don't. I'm not bashing his decision to actually go help the people who really want to be a part of his family. That makes perfect sense to me. But I will say the tone of the two scenes, the transition between those two scenes, it doesn't smoothly connect because he just got a fucking bomb dropped on him. And he recovered from it pretty well to go save his family. Whereas, I can only tell you, if I went through some shit like that, I would be done. I would just be gone for a good minute. And I would really want to go save people, but shit, man, he got hit with something big. I honestly was not expecting the movie to go there with the story. Even though when you're hearing the story at the beginning and you're he gets lost at a carnival and he does the thing that the kids are supposed to do. He goes to the police and the police are trying to find his parents. And I'm like, seriously? His mom couldn't fucking find him? He was right there with the cops and they have a bullhorn and everything. And when it comes out, she's like, no, I saw you. I just was nah, and peaced out. And I'm like, wow. fuck you. Oh, I was hating on that mom super hard. It just kind of took me out of the movie, honestly. It just kind of took me out of it.
And that's fair. That's fair. I definitely think it's something that, because he literally walks away from the movie to go do that. So it's definitely a scene that doesn't quite fit. I don't think it's bad, but I do think that it's something that needed to be built up to more.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. Like, it was a good scene, and like it made sense for his character, but that's a heavy ass thing to drop, and like it will be hard to navigate coming into and coming out of a scene like that. And so, yeah, I think it kind of fell short in the transition. That's like my only like real gripe.
Right. I feel like it's something that would have been more impactful in a sequel, but then I feel like there's really no way for him to connect with the other siblings then, because that's kind of how he connects with them. So I don't know. It's a tough situation. I don't know how you rewrite out of it.
It is.
But I think they did the best they could with what they had.
I do believe so too. They even foreshadowed it when he's having the conversation towards the beginning with the principal and saying, "Hey, you're spending all this time looking for someone who, if we're gonna be honest, has not spent a lot of time looking for you. So why don't you go with these people who want to be with you?" Like, it's literally like the choice was literally put at the beginning, but he wasn't able to see it yet. And then he was only able to really connect with that after he straight heard it from his mom that she didn't want to be his fucking mom. Now is not a really good time for me. I almost wanted to slap the shit out of her. Oh my god. Oh, man.
I mean, I see where you're coming from on that one. I do.
I would like. Bad parenting is a trigger for me, man. It's a button, and I was mad at the end of that conversation. So yeah.
I feel like the only issue I have is I wish he'd gone through the proper channels for putting him up for adoption rather than abandon him. Because I understand parenting can be a burden, and it can be an overwhelming experience for anyone who is literally not mentally prepared for it. So,
but you don't just fucking drop, just fucking leave.
No. I agree with you. Like I said, I wish she'd gone through proper channels. But I do sympathize with her to an extent, not completely, but to enough of an extent where I can at least see why she did it. I just disagree with the methods completely.
The movie does a really good job of painting her story. It really does.
Yep.
You know, like she's like, I was 17 and like she just had no idea what the fuck she was doing, and the father just decided to fucking dip, and she had no clue what the hell she was doing. Her parents abandoned her, she didn't know, and all of the scenes that were all like shiny and bright that you saw from his perspective, you saw from her perspective, and they were all dark and gloomy. And
that was really well done. That was really well done.
That was very, very well done. So I think they portrayed it really, really well, and I think her decision is understandable. It still pissed me off.
That's fair. So I guess let's lean into that real quick. So Ryan, obviously with the mom and actually, there's one more thing I want to hit before I get to that real quick. So there's a couple different themes and messages this movie tries to hit at. So we talked about, the obsession and hero worship we just mentioned here a little bit. There's another one I want to mention I think is worth talking about. And that is that this film really takes the concept of the Chosen One and throws it out the goddamn window.
Doesn't it?
It's fucking fantastic. So let me frame it up for those listening. So you have Thad. You have Savannah, who is like, oh, you could be the Chosen One. Oh, wait, no. You aren't the Chosen One. Psych, get out of here. And he forces this destiny upon himself to make it happen. And then, out of pure desperation, he's not a Chosen One. He's just the last guy that the wizard could pull from the hat. And like, okay, listen, kid, I've got like 30 seconds left, so say my name, take the powers, and please do something to stop that guy, because I'm fucked. And like, I love that idea. It's so good.
What?
It's so good.
Yeah, like I love that the movie decided to like do away with the whole, oh well, Billy Batson was obviously chosen because despite his troubled past, he has a pure heart, and the heart of a child is uncorruptible. No, it's like, we've been calling like all these adults, and nobody's passed the goddamn test. And literally, this dude just escaped with the power of the 7 deadly sins, and I have no further options. This kid is 15. Fuck it. Just take the power, please. Just go. Do the thing, please. The spell wouldn't have pulled you if there wasn't something in you, but I'm dying, and the people that ran the test have dipped, so just fucking do it. I'm like, okay. All right, that's why.
And I like that, though. It's really well done, because, I mean, you have your Star Wars, you have your Harry Potter, you have all these other franchises out there that have this whole, destined, chosen one thing, and I don't know about you, Ryan, but it's a little bit tiring to hear that same kind of rhetoric used over and over again. So, it's very refreshing when they bring it up a little bit, but then they're like, just throw it out the window, like, nope, chosen one, we're just gonna make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like bread and butter of like typical fantasy things, and of course, this has heavy fucking fantasy and mythological elements to it. So yeah, you can expect to see like, oh well, there's this grand wizard who once stood on the council of wizards who is looking for the chosen one to absorb his power and become the champion, and da 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 da. But what I really, really loved with how they decided to subvert this trope is that they also show the flip side of that. They say, what if you're clued into the fact that all of this fantastical shit exists, and then you're told you're not good enough?
That is the best way they handled it, too.
I was like, oh, shit. Okay. And that kid becomes the villain because his whole fucking life he was told you're not good enough. And then a fucking wizard pulled him out of the ether just to tell him, nah, you know what, you're not good enough. And it fucking drove him crazy. Of course it did.
But I mean, that's not uncommon, though, if you think about it. Like, just thinking about it real quick, Anakin was told he was the chosen one. And look what happened to him. Look, he wasn't good enough, and Luke ended up being the real chosen one after all. Maybe. It's still in the air. Who knows?
He's pretty much the chosen one, guys. But if you had read the extended universe, you would fucking know that Luke Skywalker is... Never mind, I'm sorry. They're no longer canon. They don't... I read all those books for nothing, apparently. It's fine.
But no, like, it's not an uncommon practice where the one who is thought to be the chosen one, or the one who's, like, denied the final, like, end goal because he or she's not good enough, it's not uncommon that they become the villain, but it's just never been painted in such a stark contrast like this before. Like, it's never been this, like, in your face, the main conceit of the film before. And it's just done to the best of its abilities here.
It is done very, very well. I love the way they handled that. I love that they used this movie to subvert such a commonly used trope. So I'm really excited for what they do with Black Adam, because like so my read on it, and I looked it up on Wikipedia and was confirmed. But he referenced that they had chosen a champion in the past, but he used his powers for revenge, and in doing so actually released the 7 deadly sins. And that's why they're in this predicament today, and that's also why they've gone for centuries without choosing a champion, because the last time they did, it became a huge issue. Mm-hmm. Black Adam is the original champion. So I'm very, very excited to see, especially how they handled those tropes in this movie. I'm very excited to see a Black Adam origin story that in and of itself has to be a little more serious in tone. I'm very excited to see what they do with that.
So
and how they bring it into it.
So if I'm correct, and I might be off by a little bit, but if I remember correctly, Black Adam's powers are stuff he worked towards. Like, he didn't just get chosen like Billy did, but he actually, like, worked himself up to get that right to earn the powers. Whereas Billy was just kind of handed them at the last minute, basically. So I'm also kind of curious to see how that plays into their dynamic, too, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be something along the lines of, you aren't really worthy of this, you were just handed this shit, I actually had to work for this shit, and that'll be an interesting dynamic to see them explore.
Yeah, I mean, Savannah started hinting on it. He's like, they told me that I wasn't worthy, and here you come with all these powers. What the fuck makes you so special? And then over the course of their, like, battling, he's just like, you're just a fucking kid. you don't deserve this shit, so give me the power. I've, like, devoted my whole life to doing this shit. Give me the power that you were just handed. And so it'll be very interesting to see how they handle Black Adam and how the more serious tone of Black Adam's origin will mesh with Kids Get Superpowers movie. I'm very interested to see how that plays out.
I mean, this movie played the whole demon monsters with kids angle pretty well, so I think it's doable. I think they can pull it off.
I think it's doable. It'll just be really interesting to see how they do it, because that, like, they've already proven that they're able to subvert tropes and, like, take what you're expecting to see and be like, nah, actually, here's something different. So I'm interested actually to see it, because the more I think about it, the more I realize how much they subverted tropes. I'm actually very interested in this franchise and to see where it goes.
Absolutely. Speaking of subversions and references and whatnot, there's a lot of references in here, from other comics to video games to other movies, in fact. Ryan, what is your favorite joke and or reference that you managed to catch in this one? I have one. I want to spit it out right now real quick.
Go ahead.
So there's a scene in the movie where they're all in this, like, they're in the magic cave, and they knock Savannah down, and the kids and Shazam run away. And they get to this room full of doors. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be cute. They're going to go through doors like Scooby-Doo or some bullshit. Or maybe it'll be like Monsters, Inc., and they'll be like different dimensions and shit. So they are different dimensions. The doors to different worlds. The first one they open is to a room full of crocodile men, which is kind of cool.
That was pretty hilarious, yeah.
The one that got me, though, was the very next one they show, where the Hispanic kid, I can't remember his name, I don't remember. He opens the door, and it's a bunch of mist and fog, and you're like, okay, that's a little spooky. And out comes this little tentacle thing. And at first I'm like, I recognize that, but I don't remember from where. And then they fight it off, they close the door, and they realize they have to go somewhere else. I thought about it for a hot 30 seconds, and then I turned to Amanda and I'm like, that's the tentacle from the fucking Mist movie.
Wow, really?
Yep, I looked it up yesterday to confirm. It is the tentacle from Stephen King's Mist movie.
Oh, wow, that's a deep cut. Oh, I really like that. Oh, I have to see The Mist. I really do.
Well, I have it on my short list for potential stuff we'll do for Halloween, so that might be a doable one. That might be a doable
one. Oh, boy.
But yeah, to get that reference in a Shazam movie was not expected, so bravo to you guys in that one. Bravo.
So my favorite joke / reference, it actually isn't a reference to anything specific. As a broad aside, I like the subtlety that this movie shows. It has a lot of, like, in-your-face things and really funny things, but it actually seeks to further hide the subtle shit. And when you catch the subtle shit, it's actually you get more out of it because it was so subtly done. And one of the most subtle things that I caught was, like, pretty much in the very next scene when she's like, all right, Billy, apparently you have the power to fucking teleport us out of here, so teleport us to the first place you see. And they end up teleporting to the fucking strip joint. And the 18-year-old girl's like, really? Really? This is the first place that you thought of? And the little girl was like, why are my eyes covered? And the Hispanic kid who just comes out is just like, it's not really my thing. And I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. It was so subtly stated, just a brief hint to the fact that this kid might be gay or might be asexual. And it wasn't made a huge thing of. It wasn't blown out of proportion. It wasn't, like, really made, like, a big punchline. It was just dropped. And then they kept going. It was so well done. That's what representation can be, honestly. And at the end of the movie, he's a fucking bomb-ass superhero with a crazy beard and big-ass guns. Man, it's so cool. It was just so cool. I really like that moment.
That was pretty strong. I want to follow it up by the whole, like, with the little girl being, like, all happy that the one Freddy was covered in glitter. That was pretty good too.
That was really good.
Okay, so moving on from that, favorite superpower test. I know what mine is, Ryan, but what's yours? What's your favorite superpower test?
My favorite superpower test had to be the teleportation test.
Ooh, yes!
He got into a box, and then he scratched out the placard and said, "Fire immunity test. We're gonna see what's happening." And then he busts out of the box, like, I'm sorry, we just had to see." He's like, "I'm gonna beat your ass." It was, that was my favorite.
I don't think I could have picked anything better. That is such a good one.
My second favorite though has to be the stinger at the end where he's talking to the fish and he says, "Oh, are you lonely? Oh, well, that's okay, buddy, because there's plenty of fish in the sea." Come on, I can't fucking talk to fish. What are you talking about? Just because of the pun. Because of the pun.
That's good. Okay, so let's see. We have time for a couple more. Well, one more here, probably. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so post-credit scene. So we already talked about the fish one. So the other one, where Dr. Savannah's in the prison cell, and he's, like, scribbling shit all on the walls, and he gets talked to by some disembodied voice, or so we think. And as the camera pans into where he's looking and where he's finding the voice coming from, he sees, from the very beginning of the movie, the little worm creature that was, like, in a jar in the magic cave.
The fucking caterpillar.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Mind, I believe is what he's called in the comics. Ryan, that is a sequel setup. That's a fucking sequel setup right there. What do you make of that?
That is
what do you think?
A sequel setup. I loved it. I honestly loved it because this is, like, when I mentioned earlier that this movie does subtle shit really, really well, this is one of the subtle things that they did really, really well. They had one shot of the thing of the caterpillar in the glass when Savannah as a young child shows up. Then they have one shot where Billy shows up after, like, the fucking things have escaped. Jar is broken. That's it. And you're just like, oh, the fucking jar got broken. His fucking caterpillar escaped. Oh no. And then you're like, hey, that wasn't the only spooky ass thing the fucking wizard kept in his vault. And there it is. He's fucking out. And this is the sequel setup. I really, really like it when movies manage to surprise me. And especially when you've seen so many superhero films, you can almost see where they're going to go ahead of time. Like, because I don't want to say it's overly formulaic, but I mean, there have been a lot of superhero films. And while I've enjoyed the majority of them, a lot of them you can tell what's coming. This one came right out of left field. It was very, very subtle. The hints were there just enough to be like, yeah, guys, that was a fucking dangerous thing. And now it's out. And now he's hooking up with Savannah. And this will be very interesting. Stay tuned for Shazam 2. That's all you need.
Here's what I think. I imagine this is how it's going to tie into the next movie. I imagine Black Adam was like Billy at the beginning, where he was a good hero and he did good things. I imagine this worm, this little caterpillar, is what talked him into unleashing the 7 deadly sins, and that's why he was imprisoned with the wizard, because he knew that if he kept out there, he could have made more stuff like that happen.
Ooh, maybe that will be interesting to see. I mean, he's like the caterpillar is already set up to be like, you know, the fucking devil on your shoulder that empowers like horrible shit to happen. Mm-hmm. So. And he's hooking up with Savannah, who apparently is just like the most convincible person on the fucking planet. Is just like, I want magic. I want to be special.
I want it all, and I want it now.
Yeah, bro, but stop. Just fucking stop it. So yeah, I like that. Like with the subtlety of how they did that, how they laid that track there, and the surprise at the end. I'm like, you know what? This is really, really interesting. It got me excited. It drummed up some buzz for Shazam 2, which is like far off in the distance. Mm-hmm. So kudos to them. That's how you do a fucking setup for a sequel.
And one last one, because I missed this one completely. So Ryan, this movie seems to celebrate superhero families, and that goes against the usual trend of superhero films, kind of wanting to get rid of those sidekicks. You know, locking Robin in the closet and whatnot, getting them out of here. They're not good enough. Do you like how they did the whole superhero family thing? Do you want to see more sidekicks and spin-off heroes and make it to the big screen alongside their main hero counterparts?
So I like how they did it in this one. I think, like, I was worried with the fact that they've just added like 5 other people of Superman's like fucking might to the DC lore, but like if they exist solely in Shazam's like universe, like Shazam has to go off and fucking help people in the goddamn help the guys in the Justice League. So the other 5 will have to hold down Philadelphia. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. I think the danger comes, especially when you're doing like a big multi-movie comic book like universe, adding a bunch of like sidekicks and side characters. It gets confusing when you have to bring them all together. I mean, look at Marvel, for instance. Like, Iron Man brought War Machine. Fucking Captain America brought Winter Soldier
And Falcon.
and Falcon. You know, like when people start bringing from their respective franchises start bringing their sidekicks to like the main stage. That's when I think things can get a little confusing. And when we just added 5 of Superman's strength, I was a little worried. But I think they did it well here.
I kind of want to see more like this. Not necessarily like make everyone Shazam. That's silly. But like I would like to see Robin finally get back into the Batman films. I know people are not very hip to the idea, but Robin's been part of the Batman mythos since like the first year of his publication. Like it was maybe like a few months to a year of Batman being solo, and then Robin was there, and he's been consistent to the mythos since. And it's like, how do we not have Robin back in films yet? Like I get that Schumacher kind of stained the well with that one, or poisoned the well with that one, but certainly there's got to be someone out there who can do it right? Someone. Anyone.
I believe so. I think if, and I don't know what the fuck is happening with the Batman property right now. Like, in all honesty, especially with Ben Affleck backing out, if they decided to just not do Batman films for, like, 5 years, I would be perfectly okay with it. Give people some time to breathe, and then try and do it again. And then you could get into like stuff like the Bat Family. Then you can get into fucking Dick Grayson being Robin, growing up in Batman's tutelage, and then becoming Nightwing. Then you can get more of the Batman of the Robins like Tim Drake. Then you can finally get fucking Jason Todd and the Red Hood on the big screen. I honestly want to see Under the Red Hood as a fucking feature film, because that is one of, if not my favorite Batman story.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully we'll be able to cover that one of these days. Hopefully. I mean, shit. Like we drum up like the mythos and the fucking power of Batman. And when you start introducing the fact that he's been bringing people up in his footsteps, and then you're like, well, what happens when one of those kids who is like a really, really talented protege goes nuts, and now you have an evil Batman who uses guns, who's damn near as good as Batman. What do you fucking do? Like that's a really cool concept to explore, and I want to see it in real life. I want to see it IRL. By the way, did you see the news over these past couple of weeks where Zack Snyder came out and said, "Oh yeah, Batman kills people and fuck you if you don't think so"? I laughed. I'm like, man, question for you, Snyder. If Batman is willing to kill criminals, why is Joker still alive?
That's for real, guys. Like it's been confirmed time and time again that Batman has had several instances where he could kill Joker, but he's like, dude, if I do that, I'm no better than him. We have to put him away. We have to put him in prison. I can't just haul off and fucking kill him.
And that's what I'm saying.
If I do that, it'll be too easy for me to kill everybody else that I don't like. Come on, guys.
Like it's such a pivotal part of his character now that just to say it's not a thing and it's stupid, like, you're just missing the big core part of his character.
It's like his parents were killed by guns. He doesn't like guns. This is really simple logic to follow. And it's actually one of the big things that makes the Batman in Flashpoint so fucking jarring, because you come from normal DC where Batman refuses to use a fucking gun, and then in Flashpoint, his father is just pulling out guns left and right, just shooting people down. And you're just like, that's not Batman. Who the fuck is that?
Hashtag not my Batman.
So yeah, when you have Bruce Wayne running around with fucking machine guns on his Batmobile and
pew,
just
pew.
gunning people down for the fuck of it, I'm just like, guys, what are you doing?
All right. Well, we went on a little long with the conversation, but I think this was definitely a good movie to have a conversation with. And surprise, surprise, we've written into a Batman conversation at the end. So, oh well, it happens.
I just want to touch on one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Getting actually back to Shazam though, I really like the emphasis that they put on foster families in this movie. Like the bumper sticker on the back of the van, like as they're like running off to go like figure out where the fuck their kids are, read, "I'm a foster mom. What's your superpower?" And I was like, that's so great. And like this whole movie is just a testament to the wonders of adoption, the wonders of being foster parents, and like growing up in a family like where it's made of people who like their original families didn't want them or couldn't take them, and so they found people that genuinely wanted to love them and to be loved by them, and they formed their own fucking family. And it was such a wholesome message. And the fact that all of these foster kids get superpowers at the end was just fucking boss. I was expecting at least two of them to know that Billy was Shazam at the end of it. But all of them becoming the fucking Shazam family was surprising and wonderful. So
yeah, I don't think very many people guessed that was going to happen, so.
I was just like, Megan Good? In my superhero movie? What? That was amazing.
And you know what else is amazing?
Kudos on them for that.
And you know what else is amazing, Ryan? We have a bunch of ways you can contact us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also go to our email and email us directly to tell us what you took away from this film, what you liked about it, and your favorite thoughts of the foster system. Hopefully they're positive, because if not, that's very depressing. Ryan, what is that email?
That email is caterpillarvoicebox at gmail. Excuse me. That email is evacstation@gmail.com.
Indeed. You know, I was actually thinking Alice in Wonderland reference for the caterpillar when we first saw it, and then when it actually was a character, I'm like, oh shit, that actually is a character. Okay, fuck. So, yeah, good stuff. So, Ryan, normally this is where we compare it to another film, but we don't have an animated film to compare it to. I mean, Robbie said we kind of do, but, I mean, our time was very limited, I think. And,
it was.
Yeah. So, we're going to do a quick round of ranking it, and then I have a few follow-up questions here. We're going to lightning round these things real quick. Ryan,
all right.
On our platinum to shit scale, where would you rank this film?
You know what? After the conversation, and just the appreciation of like real good things that they did, I would give it a strong silver. I think there was a lot of really good stuff to it. I think it was a lot of fun. I think the only thing that was holding it back was the incongruency of tone. And again, like you mentioned, was like it was essential to the plot, but at the same time, it was just a hard thing to navigate regardless. Like, I'm not mad that it was in the movie. Like, it definitely needed to be there and was well done. But the radical shift in tone kept it back a little bit for me. Still, I'd give it a strong silver.
Mm-hmm. Considering everything we've gotten from the DCEU so far, I feel like I might be a little too generous, Ryan. I'm going to give it a low gold, high silver. I'm like right on that borderline there. right on that borderline.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think it's as deep as Wonder Woman, but it's definitely more fun than most of the other DC films put out there, without question. And it's probably the second deepest of what we've gotten so far that actually sticks to landing. I think.
So, I'm seeing this last question and one of the questions that we didn't get to, and I feel like your comment just begs me to ask it before we go on to the lightning round. Is DC finally back? Or do you think they've just gotten lucky for the past 3 movies? What do you think?
Okay, so to be fair, Justice League was sandwiched in between Wonder Woman and Aquaman, so not the last 3, but I get where you're coming from. I think time will tell. We have Joker later this year, which we don't know what that's really going to be, but the trailers give it an optimistic look to it. And then we have Wonder Woman 84 next year, which I can't imagine Patty Jenkins will screw that up. I cannot imagine she would. So I'm thinking DC isn't fully back, but I do think that they're on the upswing. I think they're finally realizing the mistakes and they're finally figuring out what they need to do. So I
can agree with that. I think. No, please go ahead.
I was going to say, I think in the next film or 2 we're going to tell for sure, but I think right now it's a little too early to tell. But I think they're definitely on the upswing.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am right now. I think the last couple of independent properties, I'm sorry, not Justice League, Jesus Christ, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Shazam. I think they've been helmed by people who have seen the failings of the movies prior to it, and they've definitely taken steps to correct it. So I really, really like that. While they're also looking to establish their own identity on a movie, from a cinematic standpoint, which is really, really good. I think the next movie will really sell it. If the next movie that comes out is just really a knockout of the park, then I'm like, all right, I think they finally figured it out, guys. I think we have a real contender on our hands. But like you said, time will tell. Time will tell.
Indeed. Okay, so I have 4 quick questions and then a hype train for next week's episode. So, first, Ryan, what is the best live-action film we've seen in this season so far?
Ooh, shit. Okay, best live-action lightning round. I'm going to go with Wonder Woman.
I want to agree so hard, but I think the third act of Shazam really does kind of stick landing for the film better. I think
You like Shazam more than Wonder Woman.
I think every act of Shazam works really well, whereas Wonder Woman, I think the first 2 acts are fucking great, and that third act stumbles just enough where I'm like, okay, it's a toss-up here, it's really close. I could go either way, but I think I'm going to give it to Shazam just because I want to be different. I want to be different. Again,
that's fair. Hey, that's fair. Okay. All right. I'm with you.
All right. So best animated of what we've seen this season. I know my answer already. This is an easy one for me.
Oh, yeah. World's Finest.
Yeah, World's Finest. Hands down.
Hands down.
If anyone says anything different, I disagree with you, but I respect you. But you're wrong. Okay. So best overall, Ryan. What do you say on this one?
Goddamn. So it's kind of a toss-up for me between Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and it's because they hit 2 different buttons. I think Wonder Woman is just a great piece of cinema with an amazing message and just well done all around the board. But I feel like Aquaman is the best summer blockbuster to ever come out in fucking December. So sure, I'm kind of stuck between the 2. Okay, honestly, if we're going off of sheer enjoyment value, and just in the theater had me gasping and going nuts, I'm gonna have to give it to Aquaman. I'm just gonna have to give it.
That is surprising, but I respect that. I'm gonna fucking trip over the nostalgia goggles, and I'm gonna still go with Batman and Superman: World's Finest.
World's Finest.
It brings all of the best parts of those cartoons together. It shows how these 2 characters should meet properly. It is the absolute best thing you can show the Warner Brothers executives and say, hey, you know how you fucked up? This is how you could have avoided it. Watch this blueprint right here. It's fucking great.
That's real. That's quite real. That is quite real.
What are you looking forward to most next, Ryan?
Out of DC, I am interested in Joker.
Yeah.
I wasn't until I saw the trailer. And I still don't really feel great about giving the Joker a quantified origin story, but the overall tone and the depressive fucking insanity that Joaquin Phoenix is gonna go through with this shit, I am very interested to see what he does with the role. So yeah, I'd say I'm most interested in that.
Same here. I don't have enough information on Wonder Woman 84 to really say anything, so I'm going to go with Joker as well. If they can make the narrator of the film, or I guess in this case the point of view character, Joker himself, be an unreliable source of information for the film and make this really weird and zany and hard to follow in terms of what actually happened to make him Joker, I'd be down for that, because that's kind of that's how I feel it's always been, and I think it should stay that way, honestly. Trying to nail down any specific one thing, it just seems like a very bad idea.
I actually had this conversation with Allegra because she was unaware of the origin of Joker, and I was like, yeah, but that's because Joker doesn't have an origin. Joker is chaos incarnate. And to say that these concrete events happened to this one person that led him to this person, it diminishes that, honestly. Like you want to have him shrouded in mystery. He is just an agent of chaos that just shows up and fucks things up. And even if he were to tell you his backstory, you could never trust it. It would just be a fucking lie, probably.
To quote Joker himself, if I had to have a backstory, I would choose multiple choice.
Yes, that's exactly what I told her, and we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to watch. I'm gonna have to watch The Killing Joke with her because she hasn't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I already told her it's rough.
Fast forward the first part with Barbara Gordon and just watch the rest of the stuff. It's actually good.
It's just weird, but no, I gotta show her the whole thing. She has to know all the weirdness.
I would say for sure though, tell her, okay, so this is where the comic actually starts.
Yep.
Alright, so to hype everything up for next week, everybody, next week we are going to be talking Ant-Man, followed by Captain Marvel, and then we have a double episode that week, hopefully afterward, with Endgame and a little bit of a realignment of our rankings / re-ranking / discussion bit, just to hype up Endgame.
Guys, I'm not ready for Endgame. I'm not. Like, you and I are going to be crying in the theater together because I'm not going to be prepared.
It depends what they do, but I would not be surprised if we were. I am excited. Endgame is here, man. Endgame is coming, and y'all are gonna have some fun times listening to us talk about it. We're gonna have 2 guests on that episode. It's gonna be great.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear them old voices again.
Yep. And then after Endgame, we'll be jumping into the Godzilla month, followed by a good summer of X-Men. So stay tuned for some fun stuff here in the next few weeks.
Indeed. Well, shall we close it out, sir? And
Yep, and the only way we know how. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye!